How are you doing, everybody? We are live. Technology is working, and this is great. So I'm waiting for a few seconds until people can settle and add themselves and get into the chat and everything you want. Today is a very special day. I have a very special guest for you, and it's my absolute honor. And today's artist can be heard on songs like this. So I hope you like this music, and I will be welcoming in 1, 2, 3 seconds, Mr. I will be welcoming Mr. Hey, this is great to see you. This is my welcoming song for you. Mike Bennett on the other side of the line.
How you doing, man? It's so great to see you, dude.
Very good. I'm absolutely happy. What can we say? This is so great to see you.
Likewise,
And
man. How you been?
yeah. Okay, let me just get rid of that noise. People are getting in the way. Well, welcome, Mike Bennett. How are you
Thanks.
doing? It's so good to see you.
Likewise, man. It's been a minute. I don't think haven't seen you in about a year, probably, if not more. Like I'm so bad with time. Like it's just
Yeah, probably more. I mean, I think last time was when you were on tour in Europe, and for me, it's such a pleasure that you accepted the invite. And I've been doing these Instagram lives, and it's really cool because we get to exchange ideas. People get to meet each other, and all our followers have the chance actually to meet all the great people we are capable of meeting and sharing the stage or sharing musical moments or whatever it is, and that is so great.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. So you are right now in your recording studio, right?
Yeah, I'm in my studio here, just outside of Los Angeles, and
Okay.
actually kind of like in LA. Like I'm in North Hollywood, which is just over the hill from Hollywood. It gets real weird of like North Hollywood's its own city and everything, but it's not
Yeah.
connected to Hollywood. But yeah, like so, I'm just over the hill from Hollywood, like kind of in the heart of the media center, I guess. So.
Yeah, it is somehow. And just a quick update, how is things over there? We hear things on the news. Well, is it rough or how is it going?
Fortunately, in my neighborhood, I live in kind of like I'm in Burbank, but an area kind of like around Toluca Lake is what it's called, which is
Okay.
just over the hill from Hollywood. So like out my window, like I see Warner Brothers, and there's like all like the stuff that we identify like the tourist areas. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
right over that hill is like the Hollywood sign and where some of the protests and stuff have been going on. And so it's been a little bit crazy. Fortunately, my neighborhood has been safe, but lots of helicopters in the air, and
Yeah.
hoping everyone is having their voice heard and being safe at the same time.
Yeah, that's important. Absolutely. It's always about that everybody can express himself and have the chance to say out loud what he wants or needs. And because it's important to have all the social areas kind of covered, and that's great.
Yeah.
Well, but today we're here to talk about music, art, and projects you're involved with. And first of all, I want to tell the people that the way we met many years back, like 3 or 4 years, I think it was, through a good friend of ours, through Ben Woods.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, and that is the first question for you too. That was when you were touring with Steve Stevens, which
Uh-huh.
is like a highlight kind of thing because he's an icon. And I saw you perform in Madrid with that band. So tell us just right away a little bit how you got involved with that. What was your experience there?
The way that came about was Ben is one of my best friends in the world. And Ben and Arlene both are just dear friends, love him to death. Like, I don't use that word lightly. Ben is like one of my best friends in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he had known Steve because Steve is a fan of flamenco music and the Spanish guitar. And we ended up doing some small gigs where I was just playing cajon, percussion, playing some of Steve's music. They were just one-off private things. And then from there, that ended up evolving into a tour playing his music that was kind of he wanted to play some of his music that had the Spanish guitar, had the nylon string in it.
Right.
So we ended up going out. Ben was out and playing all the rock and roll stuff, the fusion stuff, the Billy Idol tunes, but also playing some of the stuff that's like was a little bit more rumba based and so it was kind of fun on that tour. It was like back when I've done a handful of tours, but like back with like Vanessa and a few of these guys where I was like playing drums, percussion, and so just constantly like running back and forth. So it's like I was on drum kit for 1 second, and then I would maybe run play cajon, and then play congas. And what was cool about that too is one of the greatest voices in rock and roll, Frankie Perez, was singing on there. And one of the cool parts about having Frankie on that gig is he's also a really great percussionist. And so it was cool to have someone else too to help fill in the gaps, and we would just kind of trade things off. And one night maybe I'd play congas, and another night I'd play cajon, and
that's so cool. I remember the gig.
Fun tour, man. Like Steve, like one of the things that like I love saying about Steve, like which is his playing. Obviously, he's got such an amazing voice with the instrument, but watching how that dude conducted himself day to day was what was the real treat about that tour. He has a massive heart, and kind of has eyes open to everybody. And it really just treated everyone, band, crew, fans, staff, with so much kindness. And so that's kind of what I took away from that tour actually the most was just why he, like you see on the surface like these players, like why there's a legacy of their playing and why they've had such long careers and with their instrument. But it's great when you get to see someone with that notoriety and that level of acclaim and realize that like there's these character values that you can learn from and like try to like carry on in your career and everything. So I really enjoyed watching his bedside manner with how he toured. Like it was very, very inspiring and really cool. So.
That is very nice. I mean that it's big. I've had similar experiences playing with certain artists who are big names, and you learn more not by their playing, but by their concept that is behind their whole thing, the playing, the way they treat people, the way they live, their philosophy. And like you said, they've been making long lifetime careers, and it's not easy to maintain yourself in the music business. And if somebody does, definitely there are a lot of special qualities behind that. So that is beautiful. And of course that speaks about your quality as well as a multi-percussionist, drummer, and knowing about so many music styles. When we were talking that night, you were mentioning you came from jazz, you've been playing all kinds of music. I mean, let us know a little bit what is like the musical world you move in and what you've experienced.
Like my journey was always like I wanted to be a pop and a rock guy. But in the same hand, I didn't have music in my family or anything. I needed, like, school was important. So, like, my private teachers were absolutely important. People needed to show me things. So I was very, always just caught up in the study of things. And the big thing for me with any instrument is, like, my favorite players are, like, the best decision makers. And I find when guys get on gigs, it's not just because of the playing ability these days is just a prerequisite. Especially like a place like LA. Everyone's good. Everyone deserves your
super
gig.
high
Everyone
level.
can do your gig, and they can do it at a high level. So like there's no there's no time for bullshit of like apples and oranges of like it's like, oh well, he doesn't deserve a gig. No, 9.5 times out of 10 everybody deserves it, can do your gig, and they deserve it. And that's what's great about LA. But what I find with dudes that like really have the lasting power they're great decision makers. And so I was just always like in my trying to be studious, like was interested in like learning how to make the best decisions behind the kit. So I kind of fell into percussion, not like as a way to like necessarily be a percussionist, but as a vehicle to make better decisions behind the kit. So as I was doing like different styles and studying things, which has just been like one of my favorite parts of music is just the constant learning and growing.
Definitely.
And making sure you have the proper information, at least to the best of your ability, doing your due diligence, being a good student, so that way you could be a good voice and preserve the integrity and the proper information to the best of your ability. So as things pass along, we're preserving these different styles of music, which aren't mine. Like, you know, and that was the big thing. I had to take it seriously. This was not my music, and I wanted to learn to the best of my ability so I could transmit it properly. You know,
Right.
but you know, so I was just constantly studying different styles, and one of my problems is all my hobbies end up becoming my job. So I ended up getting gigs as a percussionist and kind of living on both sides of the fence. So I have a lot of
Well, that's
clients
good.
that like have no idea I play drum set, and then other
Yeah.
clients that like know that I'm just a programmer. So it's kind of cool to live on the different sides of the fence, and you know, and like by having like when I'm going into those percussion gigs, for example, like making those decisions to not be the drummer or vice versa.
Right.